In chapter 3111, the tension between Catherine Farrell and her brother Marco intensifies, revealing deeper fractures within the Farrell family. The chapter begins with Catherine making coffee in her office's tea room, a task she performs herself. Marco jokes about her making her own coffee because she fears being poisoned, a remark that Catherine deflects with sharp wit, implying she trusts her secretary more than she trusts Marco. Though the exchange is playful on the surface, it highlights the deep mistrust between the siblings. Catherine, aware of the stakes involved in family dynamics, prefers to keep control over small tasks like preparing her own coffee, avoiding any potential harm from her scheming relatives. When Catherine emerges from the tea room, she sits across from Marco and silently sizes him up, her gaze making Marco uncomfortable. The atmosphere between them is tense, filled with unspoken grievances. Catherine, observing her brother closely, cannot help but express her disdain for his recent behavior, particularly regarding his treatment of his wife. Her words are pointed and direct. She chastises Marco for his cruelty toward his wife, whom he has been married to for over a decade. She emphasizes that his wife has done nothing wrong, yet he raised another woman outside their marriage, betraying his wife. Despite the emotional and moral betrayal, his wife chose not to divorce him for the sake of their children. Her critique is particularly poignant because she speaks not just as Marco's sister, but as a woman who understands the gravity of his actions. From her perspective, his behavior is reprehensible, and it chills her to think that her brother could treat his wife with such disregard. Catherine's condemnation is not just about the extramarital affair, but about Marco's lack of basic decency and respect for the woman who stood by him and bore his children. She finds it hard to reconcile the man sitting across from her with the brother she once knew. Marco, stung by her criticism, tries to shift the conversation, focusing on the recent death of Shiloh. He asks Catherine if she knows about Shiloh's death, to which Catherine responds that she is well aware, having been informed by their mother. However, she refuses to accept any responsibility for Shiloh's demise, bluntly telling Marco that her death was his fault. Marco is taken aback and immediately defends himself, claiming that it was not his actions that led to Shiloh's tragic end. Instead, he blames Shiloh's mother and brothers for the fatal accident, asserting that they were the ones who quarreled with her and pushed her into a situation where she met her untimely death. In his view, the real blame lies with Erica, his wife, whom he accuses of indirectly causing Shiloh's death by involving her mother and brothers in their affairs. His bitterness toward Erica is clear, and he insinuates that she played a role in orchestrating the circumstances that led to Shiloh's death. His attempt to deflect blame from himself reveals his unwillingness to confront his own culpability. He is looking for someone else to hold responsible rather than accepting the consequences of his own actions. Catherine listens to Marco's justification but remains unconvinced. Her silent but piercing stare conveys her disappointment in him. To her, Marco is beyond redemption. His inability to take responsibility for his own failings, whether in his personal relationships or in the tragic death of Shiloh, speaks volumes about his character. Catherine's growing disdain for her brother is evident, and she realizes how self centered and manipulative he has become. The chapter highlights the crumbling dynamics within the Farrell family, particularly between Catherine and Marco. Catherine's role as a strong, morally grounded woman contrasts sharply with Marco's reckless and self serving behavior.